From which present-day district of erstwhile Nalgonda is your father?
Sir, the Nalgonda district that is at the moment. They are from Nalgonda town.
Oh, I see. Okay. So that has not been further broken into anything.
No, sir.
Nalgonda town continues to be Nalgonda district. Good. Right then, if you are comfortable, if you are able to hear me and see me, let's start our mock interview. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Good. When is the actual interview in the UPSC Dolpur house?
So September 7th.
That gives us about 2 months. No,
Yes,
a little less than 2 months. Okay, very good. Be comfortable. Don't be tense.
Yes, sir.
The actual interview in UPSC would be not more than 25 minutes. So in the UPSC interviews, you will not have time to give very detailed answers. You have to confine all your answers to about 2 to 3 minutes so that they go to some other field. And therefore, in those 2-3 minutes, you have to present your best. So if I want to ask you, let us say, tell me about Nalgonda district. Have you ever been there? You can't go on saying right from Kakatiya's times and whatever you want to say, whatever is special about Nalgonda, say it in 3-4 sentences. This is something you have to practice.
Yes,
Otherwise, you will miss the bus. They will not be able to ask you a variety of questions. So by going by your DAF, detailed application form, generally they start with what is written there. So for example, you have written that you are a B.Tech from IIT Hyderabad in the subject of civil engineering, 2017.
yes, sir.
Right. So if it is somebody like me, I'll say, oh, to make you comfortable, oh, very good. You are a civil engineer. Can you tell me the difference between M25 and M40?
Yes, sir. Sir, they are both different grades of concrete. The figure 25 refers to the characteristic strength of the concrete. So these are essentially two strengths of two grades with different strengths.
What is the essential difference between M25 and M40? How do you make something M40 and how do you make something else M25?
Sir, I'm unable to recall it at the moment.
Oh, you are a child. Nowadays, it's all ready-mix concrete. So you tell them, "Arey, M40 base do." Oh, base dete hai. You see, there are what are called the aggregate, things like that. So there is a certain difference. Anyway, you are a child, as I told you. But don't worry. I'll hand you over to our former Chief Secretary, Dr. M.G. Gopal, a very nice person. He'll give you very easy questions. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Right. Aya Gopal garu?
Yes, sir. Yes. Now, Suma, can you hear me and see me?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Now, there are several types of institutes of technology in Telangana state or Andhra Pradesh, erstwhile Andhra Pradesh. How many can you recall?
Sir, I can recall a few. One is the Indian Institute of Technology, or the IIT, and the second is the Triple IT. And we also have research technology related to agriculture, such as ICRISAT. So these are some I can recall at the moment.
Can you tell me the full form of ICRISAT? You yourself talked about it.
Yes, sir.
All right, don't bother. Have you heard of something called RGUKT?
No, sir.
No, okay. What about JNTU?
Yes, sir. Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University.
Okay, what is NIT?
Sir, National Institute of Technology.
What is BIT?
Birla Institute of Technology.
So you know all of them. All right.
Yes.
Okay, good. Now tell me, who is this Mr. Rangareddy, in whose district you have been living for a long time?
Sir, he was a freedom fighter as well as former Deputy Chief Minister of United Andhra Pradesh.
Okay. Now let's go back to your DAF. You mentioned that your mother has an annual income of approximately 5 lakh rupees. Well, I'm not interested in why she is getting, from where she is getting. Only tell me, how much income tax does she pay on that income?
Sir, I'm not aware of it.
Okay, all right. But do you know that income tax has to be paid on certain types of incomes, like income from salary, income from business, income from agriculture, and do you know, out of these three which I mentioned, which is taxable, which is not taxable?
Sir, I believe the agricultural income is not taxable.
Okay, all right. Okay, let us now quickly get into the disputes between the government of Andhra Pradesh and government of Telangana, which have originated, in the recent past, for instance. Can you recall any such dispute?
Sir, the ongoing Krishna water dispute is the most recent one.
Yeah. Can you explain why is there a dispute on Krishna water?
Sir, the dispute is primarily about usage of Krishna waters by both the states. So I understand the crux of the dispute as both states trying to construct projects beyond what is allocated under the tribunal. So this has given rise to the dispute. And secondly, the Telangana contests the allocation itself. It wants a new and fresh allocation, which is more fair, is what it says.
Okay. Now, don't you think that the state which is going to construct, or which has been constructing projects beyond the water allocated, if there's no water, that the investment is futile and infructuous and meaningless, and they won't get any returns out of it? So why are they constructing projects?
Sir, I believe partly it is political in nature. So taking up more projects.
What is that? Please repeat.
Sir,
political in nature.
Yes, sir. Somewhat political in nature to gain political points. And secondly, the upper riparian state has certain level of leverage when compared to releasing water and etc. So Telangana, being an upper riparian state, probably looks at it from that direction. Okay.
Can you tell me in what units the water storage is measured? You are a civil engineer.
TMC, sir, trillion meter cube.
1,000 meter cubic, 1,000 million cubic
feet.
TMCFT.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir.
What is a CUSEC? And what is it measured?
Sir, I believe it measures the flow.
Okay. So what is the full form of CUSEC?
Sir, I'm not aware of it, but I believe it's a cubic meter per second.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. Okay, good guess. All right. Good luck to you. Now, we have been having some controversies relating to the maintenance of land records in the state of Telangana. So what is that controversy? What are the new changes that Telangana government tried to bring in? Any information?
Yes, sir. Sir, land record management has been a challenge, not only in Telangana, but across the country. So we do not have conclusive land records, which poses a major problem with respect to registration, sale, and acquisition, etc. So keeping this in mind, Telangana government has come up with the Dharani portal. It's an integrated land record management system. So to complement it, the government has also taking up surveys, land surveys, so that the whole system becomes more streamlined.
Yeah. What do you exactly mean by conclusive title?
Sir, what I mean is many records may not be having, many land papers may not be having conclusive proof that it belongs to them. Let's say there is one parcel of land. It is possible that more than one party is claiming the same land. So these happened because traditionally or historically we have had not had a proper land registration system.
But if a conclusive title is given, say this property measuring about 15 hectares of land is owned by Ms. Uma. So subsequently, I come and raise a dispute after 2 years saying that no, it is my property in which my grandfather has given to me. So what will happen to your conclusive title, quote unquote?
So that is where the conclusive titles have to be established before we go ahead with any kind of system.
Okay, you're right. But after doing survey, after verifying who is the owner in the field, after giving opportunity of being heard to contending parties. So I come from USA after 2 years and say, no, this is mine. What will happen to your title? Will the government help you in any manner?
Sir, I believe the land would go into litigation. It has to.
Okay, let's come back to that later. Did you hear of in Hyderabad, the context transportation system? What is MMTS?
Sir, it is a suburban railway system. So I believe the abbreviation is Metropolitan Transport System.
Multimodal
transport. Okay,
yes,
all right.
Sorry,
then what is this metro rail then?
Sir, it's for the inside, the city inside, in the core of the city. MMTS is mainly, it connects the cities from the outer parts, the suburban parts.
But it goes through Secunderabad station, it goes through Hyderabad station, it also covers the interior of the city, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Goes through Rajabhavan, very hard.
Rajabhavan, yeah. It's normal railway, South Central Railway line, broad gauge line, where some special trains are run. Before this metro rail has been conceived.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Who financed this metro rail? Tell me. Metro rail of Hyderabad. Who is the owner? Who financed it?
Sir, I'm not aware of it. Can I make an educated guess?
Yeah, you can have a calculated guess.
Sir, I believe it's a PPP model. So there is private parties as well as the government. So it's both central and state government financing the project.
But what is the private party got to do if central and state government are financing?
So the government finances a part of it.
Okay.
And the rest is financed by the private party, which it recovers later.
Okay. So have you heard of any PPP projects other than metro rail? In the country, not just in Hyderabad, in the country generally.
Even in Hyderabad, there is.
Yeah.
I know that many infrastructure projects are being done on a PPP model these days, but I'm unable to recall any particular project.
Okay, all right. Now, before I pass on to my co-panelist, now tell me, if you are given an opportunity as district magistrate in one of our Telangana districts, to what use would you put to the technology called the blockchain technology?
Yes, sir. So blockchain technology, as I see, has most use in the financial system or the banking system and the land management, because it makes sure that the records are solid or they're not untamperable. So I would be focusing on applying blockchain technology in these two areas.
But why is it untamperable, as you said?
Sir, because the technology is maintained in a decentralized manner. Let's say there is a change with respect to any unit, all the members would be notified, they have to agree.
All right. Thank you. Vivek Garu.
Hello, Uma.
Hello, sir.
I find from your DAF at some point in time you have visited Japan.
Yes, sir, I have.
How old were you at that time?
Sir, I was 22. Yes, sir, 2023.
What was the context?
Sir, so every year, the topper of the department is given an opportunity to visit Japan for a cultural exchange program. So I stayed there for about 10 days and came back after that.
What did you do there in the cultural exchange?
Sir, it mainly involved knowing the Japanese culture. So we were taken to different areas in Japan, the tourist sites, etc. And we also had the opportunity of homestay. So we stayed with a rural Japanese family for 2 or 3 days and got to know them, their food practices and culture, and their way of life, essentially.
Oh, from India side, what is that you give to them?
Sir, I gifted them.
No, what is that? How you presented India to them? You took something from them, and then after all, it is an exchange program, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So which means there is some give and take.
Yes, sir. Sir, the family I was staying with was particularly fond of yoga, and they wanted me to teach them Surya Namaskars in an authentic way. So I used the time to teach them that.
You are into yoga?
Yes, sir.
That I didn't find from your dad. Anyway.
It is mentioned.
Oh, yeah, it is mentioned. So didn't you also give them some tips about Indian cuisine, which is also your hobby?
Yes, sir. In fact, they have a feeling that Indian cuisine is just curry. So I try to change that opinion.
I see. Okay. So what is that cuisine that you give them?
So when I was there, I made a sweet with millets called millet halbai, one of my favorite foods.
But did you not give Telangana pachi pulsu?
No, sir. Actually, finding tamarind was difficult there. I wanted to make pulihora.
Good. So what is the takeaway from Japan? Have you heard of what is called Kaizen?
Yes, sir, I have. In fact, it features a lot, be it in schools, even in family level or industries. So I think it means above excellence. So like better than 100%. So this is something I have noticed. They always want to excel and improve.
Maybe something
themselves.
which is continuous improvement.
Yes, sir, definitely. Continuous improvement, strive for more than excellence. Yes.
So tell me, after your Japanese visit, you thought, there is a need for introducing Kaizen in our various processes, be it bureaucracy, be it teaching methodologies, being wherever, even including, home environment.
Yes, sir.
What areas, did you find that, Kaizen could be introduced?
So the first is the level of self. At my level, I thought that this is something one should always have in mind if we want to succeed in 21st century. Strive for continuous improvement. Don't take for granted at the level you're in. And yes, this is very relevant in our research, because what happened in Japan is, because of their emphasis on Kaizen, their research is very much practical, usable. And the technology keeps on improving. And so this is something we have to incorporate at college level itself. And yes, definitely in bureaucracy and all other aspects also it applies.
Now, as an aspiring, civil servant, where do you think, we can introduce Kaizen in our bureaucracy?
Sir, I think we should use it in the context of technology and administration, sir. We tend to take that once technology is applied into some aspect, let's say land registration, or we assume that it is automatically going to take care of all the problems. Instead, we should be very responsive to what is happening and keep on improving that technology so that it's fine-tuned to the ground reality.
Now, tell me, as a daughter of a police officer, the day, that moment we open newspaper, we find lots of custodians. All kinds of, negative things only appear in newspaper. So, do you feel when you read that kind of news? Do you ever discuss with your father? Why this is happening? Did you try to understand why uh, police is always depicted is it because the media has a bias against police, or is it the general the way the police function? They're still in that colonial mode. Have you given it a reflection, some kind of a?
Yes, sir, I have. So in fact, I discussed with my father about why police has such poor public perception. One of the reasons is that generally newspapers report what is going on wrong, the exceptional cases, not the general rule. So we read these and our opinion is based on this.
Mm-hmm.
And the second aspect is, I think police has to actively focus on public perception management, which is lacking.
Mm-hmm.
And the third is, I think sometimes in the process of enforcing law, they are crossing the line between enforcing the law and maybe taking law for granted. So all these aspects have given rise to such kind of perception.
Are you aware of any of those committees, their recommendations, and why those committees' recommendations are, which are, meant to be improving the overall functioning of the police? Why such a change is not happening? Change for the better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have had several committees. Even the Prakash Singh judgment of the Supreme Court has given a flow of directions in this regard, but not much has happened. Although some states, particularly in the southern India, have set up security commissions, as the judgment suggested. But I believe not much is happening because there's no political will in this regard. If the police becomes independent and autonomous, say, the politicians and the political body would not have much control over the police. I think this is the factor that's inhibiting the change.
Now, if a citizen is aggrieved of an action of enforcement on police, does he have any remedy?
Sir, I could not hear the question.
Yeah. If the citizen has any grievance against the action of the police, okay, does he have any remedy? Is there any agency or authority where he can go and narrate the injustice or ill treatment that he has received?
Sir, I believe he can approach the court, but I'm not aware of any particular agency.
Okay, there is a police complaint, authority, and in both Telangana and AP, only just the other day, the authority was constituted. Okay.
Okay.
I think
yes,
you,
sir,
yeah, right.
I missed
Good.
my mind.
Tell me, as a daughter of a police officer, perhaps there may be occasions when you would have used a police vehicle to get dropped at college or maybe to visit some place.
Yes.
How were you received? Were your friends, staring at you in awe? Or?
Yes, sir. In fact, I have an interesting incident. When I was in the university, my father once dropped me in his vehicle, and one of my friends actually called me unethical for using my father's vehicle. And I really did not have an argument to that, against that. And then after that, I made sure that such things do not happen. I make it a point to use only my father's private vehicle.
That's interesting. Now tell me, as a daughter of a police officer, how was your relation with your peers? How were they treating? Were they treating you just like any other friend, or did you have any special attention, or were you always, a cynosure of their eyes, or what?
So growing up, when I was a child, there is this kind of some treatment. Again, when I was in 4th or 5th class, my father arrested one of my friend's fathers.
Oh,
so the whole class boycotted me. So these instances were there. But after I grew up, like in the college level, I never had any special treatment. And my friends were actually fond of my father's profession. They always wanted to know how the police works, what is. So it was a nice thing.
But interestingly, you have not opted for IPS as your first option.
Yes, sir. IPS has definitely great appeal for me, but I believe IAS gives more diverse opportunities to work with. So that's why the first preference.
Yeah. You studied geography. And now
Yes,
we
sir.
are going through monsoon. Why do you
Yes, sir.
think, monsoon winds deflect? Do they deflect at all?
Sir, what do you mean by deflection, sir? Like
Yeah, the wind deflection.
the 180 degrees reversal.
Okay, whatever.
Sir, it's because the winds are crossing the equator that
Mhm.
forces them to turn, like take a 180 degrees reversal by the Coriolis force, due to the Coriolis force.
Coriolis. And why does,
And also
how
the,
Coriolis force actually operates? Why it operates?
sir, it has a, sir, the origin of Coriolis force is because of the rotation of the Earth itself.
Mhm.
So it tends to act, let's say if the wind is moving from, in the northern hemisphere, the wind is moving from equator to the pole, it deflects the wind towards the right direction, and vice versa in the southern hemisphere.
No, I am interested in knowing why this phenomenon called Coriolis force actually occurs.
Sir, it is because of the rotation of the Earth. Sir, wind moving will be, we have the Earth rotating, and the wind feels a pulling force.
What is the shape of the Earth? I'll give you a clue.
Sir,
It's a
spherical with
geoid.
slight.
It's a geoid.
Yes, sir.
Geoid. So there is a bulge at the equator.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Because of the bulge, this happens. That's why it is called Coriolis force.
Okay, sir. Thank you
Okay.
for letting me
Yeah.
know.
Okay, right. Finally, tell me, as a woman, I'm sure you must be interested in the status of women since the days of freedom and all that. Now, from your DAF, I also find that your family owns some 8.27 acres of irrigated land.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I guess, or perhaps, assuming that this property is ancestral property.
Yes, sir, it is.
Now, tell me, are you a natural, inheritor of this property? Will you be a natural inheritor of this property?
Yes, sir, I believe I will be.
How? How do you claim? How do you make a claim to this property? In case.
No, sir, I am not aware.
Okay. No, I have not read about, what is called the recent Supreme Court judgment about co-partner.
Co-partnership. Yes, sir, I have.
What does it mean? Co-partner means what?
Sir, I believe the daughter is equally on par with the son with respect to inheritance of the property.
Okay. Finally, sometimes you find that some judges refuse to hear some cases. What is that called? Why do they do so?
It's called recusal. A judge recuses himself or herself from the case. I think it's to avoid any kind of conflict of interest situation, which could adversely affect the impartiality and objectivity of the judgment.
It was very good speaking with you, Uma. My
Thank
co-panelist
you,
will continue this conversation with you.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Huma.
Good morning, sir.
Today is the World's Population Day.
Oh,
So you visited Japan. So Japan is also full of population without natural resources. Okay, India got an advantage of more population, more resources. Now tell us from your experience, of course, maybe a little experience, but you heard about Japan and their development. Now, how Japan was able to overcome the problem of the development, because they got only population, no resources, natural resources. So how did they overcome this type of problem and how they got developed? So this is my question to you.
Yes, sir. Japan is a physically difficult country to work with, does not have much resources. So to answer your question, to begin with, Japan was highly reliant on resources of other nations, such as we have seen Japanese colonialism in China during the World War period. But above that, they paid utmost importance to technology. In fact, they were one of the earliest countries in Asia to industrialize, and they imported the technology from the West, and they became technologically advanced. This helped them overcome the shortage of resources, and today it is helping them overcome the shortage of population. So the technology and colonialism before are the factors.
You see, the Second World War, Japan was almost smashed to the ground. But within a short span of time, it bounced back.
Yes,
The resilience is excellent.
Yes.
Now, one gentleman from America, so America was responsible for the devastation of Japan, but one American helped Japan to overcome this. Can you give the name of this person and what is his contribution to Japan?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of the person or his contribution.
So when we talk about Japan, Japan is known for its people's development. Okay, so there is an American and a Japanese management styles. Normally, what we call is the Japanese, they follow the TQP, whereas this Americans follow the TQM. Are you aware of these two management techniques?
No, sir, I'm not aware of them.
It's okay. Okay. Uma, you're from Nalgonda district.
Yes, sir.
So when we talk about Nalgonda, definitely we don't miss fluorosis.
Yes, sir.
So what are the remedial measures you can suggest to cure this?
So the first is treating the groundwater, or the providing treated drinking water to reduce the exposure. And so fluorolysis can be treated if the affected persons avail treatment at an early stage. So the most important aspect is spreading awareness about it. So I remember my grandmother used to tell me that they did not know what it was when they were young. You know, if they had known, they would have approached early.
Okay. Okay, Uma, you're from Telangana. Telangana, we got because of three important slogans. I think you remember those things.
Yes, sir.
Neelu, Nidulu, Niyamakalu.
Yes, sir.
So regarding this Neelu, Telangana government has been taking wonderful projects.
Yes,
now
sir.
tell us two important projects and how they will definitely will be role models for the entire country.
So the first is definitely the Kaleshwaram project. So it is important because first of all, it's one of the largest lift irrigation projects the world has ever seen. But more importantly, it is going to help irrigate over 10 districts in the state. And these districts, Telangana being a semi-arid state in general, providing water through irrigation is very important. So this is an important aspect of it. And I think the second project I would say is the left bank construction of thrice. That is important because it helps irrigate the Nalgonda and the districts around it, which have been, in my opinion, neglected to a large extent. Although we have Nagarjuna Sagar Dam in Nalgonda, it gives water only to 7 or 8 mandals.
So we got two beautiful projects. One is called Mission Kakatiya and Bhagirath. So I'm talking about this too. So are you aware of this?
Sir, yes, sir. I thought you were referring to the large scale irrigation project. Yes, so sir, I am aware.
I'm interested from the people's point of view. So who are going to have drinking water and the people who get that Uru and the Niru. So I think you are aware of this. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Uma, when we talk about the people of Telangana, so we got the beautiful festivals and now Bonal is now starting. Now tell us the significance of this festival. Why this festival is so famous in Telangana?
Sir, I am not aware why exactly this is so significant in Telangana. I know that it is a major festival.
Okay. So in the, I think Komaram Bhim district as well as Adilabad, erstwhile Adilabad district, there is an issue between the Adivasis and the Lambadis.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what exactly this issue?
Yes, sir. I believe there is contestation with respect to inclusion of Lambadas in the ST list. So the Adivasis, the remaining Adivasis claim that they are settlers from outside and they are, keeping on migrating to take benefit of the ST listing in the state. So they contest this listing.
So now tell us the conflict between these two. So is it only because of some that means that these people are outsiders, or maybe people are not giving any opportunity, or they are garnering all the opportunities? What exactly the issue between these two? Both are tribals, as per the present. But why this type of conflict between these two? Then what type of remedial measure as an administrator you can suggest here?
Sir, I believe it's because the two communities are not receiving developmental benefits in an equal manner. This may have triggered or increased whatever animosity or conflict they had for other reasons. So as an administrator, I would say focusing on developmental projects, if they are implemented well, skill development, education, etc., in an equal manner, I think this can be reduced to a large extent.
I think you might have heard about an incident from Koregaon. So in this particular issue, some of the intellectuals or the activists, they were arrested, they were put behind the jail. So one among the people arrested are from our state, Andhra, Telangana, and there are from other states also. Some people got bail, some people didn't get bail, some people died also process. So in this respect, now you see this law is appears to be very, very tough on the people who got arrested. Now tell us, what is your view on this law, and what how we can help, or maybe how we can reduce the the tyranny of this law, according to you?
Yes, sir. The Unlawful Activities Prevention Act is one of the most stringent acts in the country.
Yes.
I say, given the threats we face in the form of left-wing extremism or terrorism, there is need for such a law. However, what makes the law very stringent is its very difficult bail conditions. So, in order to reduce the misuse or reduce the liberal use of it, work has to be done at the level of judiciary. So judiciary should not deny bail unless very specific and factual allegations are made against the person. So currently that is not the case. Currently, judiciary looks at the case diary presented by the investigation bodies and denies bail accordingly. So I think if we can reform this procedure and make bail provisions more rational, it will be less misused or less liberally used.
So finally, Uma, as a person from women category, we want social justice in this country. So from that point of view, so every category of the people are demanding that they must get some reservation, and women also want reservation, especially in the power structure as MLAs or MPs, vagera. But Rajya Sabha when accepted the bill, but the Lok Sabha rejected it. It did take up that bill, and of course got lapsed. Now tell us why this is not being accepted from the so many years, 13 years elapsed, but still the present government got a full majority. They can do it, but they are not doing it. So what is the reason and how we can get it passed? So what is the view?
Sir, I believe one of the main reasons is that there is a understanding or feeling that simply giving reservation to women at one level say the parliament or the assembly level is not going to change the scenario radically. And also there are some groups who believe that reservation is not the way to achieve social justice. It only reinforces the idea that women are the weaker party who needs reservation. But I believe that reservation at higher power level is certainly necessary. It creates the much needed role models for women in the country. And it will slowly help change the gender ideas and gender roles that our society has designed. And these in turn will change will bring more social justice at grassroots level. So I think we should definitely go ahead with the reservation bill. And we have also seen what great impact reservation can have on women at the local government level. So it should be considered as a pilot project and we should go ahead.
Now the question is why it is not being passed?
Sir, I believe it's mainly because there is not much agreement with respect to how it can be useful. And also it would probably come in conflict with the constitutional provisions. I'm not completely aware of that.
Okay, Uma, it's nice talking to you. Over to Somshekarji.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good morning, Uma.
Good morning, sir.
So in Hyderabad, we have what is called the T Hub and the V Hub.
Yes, sir.
So what do they really do?
Sir, they are incubators for innovation and entrepreneurship. What they do is they provide all the necessary support required for an innovative idea or a small entrepreneurial idea to actually turn or transform into a real business. So they provide technological support and help them in getting credit and other aspects of it. And VHub is particularly for women.
Okay, and then there are also organizations called like HALEAP and COVE. Have you heard of them?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay. Anyway, these are all organizations promoting entrepreneurship in women.
Okay.
Now, do you think these organizations have helped, promote entrepreneurship among women? Have you heard of any examples of, women entrepreneurs who have done well from here?
Sir, I'm not aware of any particular example of where women have benefited from these measures, but I believe it has definitely spread the idea that women can undertake entrepreneurship or take up businesses, because I've seen many of my batchmates from my college are now quitting their jobs because they want to start businesses of their own, and they are looking at government support. So I believe it's sending the right message.
Does IIT Hyderabad have a entrepreneurship cell? Has it contributed anything?
So it does have an entrepreneurship cell, but I'm not aware of its contributions as of now.
Okay. I'm coming to Nalgonda district in September 2018. The district hit international headlines actually for a very infamous incident. It was a murder, a very horrific murder. Are you aware and how it in a way tarnished the image? Can you recall that, since your father was an ASP there?
So, I'm not sure if it is correct. Could I make a guess?
No, you can. I think.
Sir, I think it was a case of honor killing, where the husband belonged to a Dalit community and he was hacked to death by the wife's father.
Yeah. What is wrong or what is right about this?
There is nothing right about it, sir. It's all wrong. and it's a case of caste-related honor killing case. It shows the level of caste discrimination that is still prevalent in the parts of our state.
Do you think are there any remedial measures or legally, or is it only through awareness, education that such things can be reduced?
So we already have adequate number of legislation, including the very effective HPSC Act. So I believe the solution is through education and awareness. For instance, we should start talking about the problem of caste discrimination at the school level. When I was in school, I was really not aware of this issue, and all I knew about caste was at house level, like what I was hearing my parents speak.
You're a civil engineer and from IIT, and also you've done geography. Tell me, the Central Vista project in Delhi has landed in a lot of controversy. What are the issues, that people are bothered about, as an engineer, about buildings? Are they old to be replaced? Or is there any problem of environmental issues, costs? How do you view this controversy, and what do you feel about this project?
Sir, according to me, the project is a right one, sir. Even the controversy with respect to the expenditure of the project or the timing are also, I believe, are misplaced. Because if you look at the old structures or the old area, one, the parliament building is less functional because the buildings are old, and if we want to increase the seating capacity, that's not possible. And secondly, a number of offices of the secretariat are spread outside in the region. So we are renting those buildings, and which is again a cost. And then also it unnecessarily hinders the administration. So from this functional perspective, I definitely think the project is justified. And secondly, the project also makes financial or economical sense at the moment, because we know that government expenditure will help in economic recovery. And this is one such infrastructure project which is going to see a lot of government expenditure. And coming to the environmental aspect, yes, given the environmental situation of Delhi, which is pollution, etc., it could result in more pollution. But remedial measures can be taken by the civil engineers to reduce the dust created. So I think overall the project is justified.
Ma'am, if you look at the functioning of Parliament, the number of days it works, the percentage of attendance, and also, the urgency of tackling COVID-19, which requires, say, 35,000 crores for vaccines, a lot of money to, immediately arrest this issue, which is of a greater national importance. There's 20,000 crores to be spent on the Central Vista project can be perhaps deferred, isn't it?
I do not think so, sir, because first the 20,000 crores is not going to be given at one go. It is going to be taken over a few years. And the second, if we cancel contract at this point, it could result in more financial burden. And also, as the time goes on, the financial burden increases. And importantly, we have made our allocations for health and other aspects of COVID management. And simply saying that this money, if we put more money into the COVID management, it will automatically improve, I think belies the fact that it's not just about money here. It is the management that we need to get right with respect to COVID management. So that is what I think.
But vaccines cost money, just you can't manage without money in this.
Yes, sir. But currently, it's not the money that is the problem with the vaccines.
Finally, again, I say with reference to civil engineering, in Telangana, we have this Kaleshwaram project.
Yes, sir.
So some people describe it as an engineering marvel.
Yes, sir.
And some people say, the cost of construction gone beyond 1 lakh crores, it's racing to 1.25 lakh crores and so on. And then perhaps lifting such huge quantities of water using power, using technology might be a marvel, but does it make sense, overall in a long term? Recently, one documentary was also made, which was shown on, I think, Discovery Channel. Do you agree with this? Do you think there's an engineering marvel that we should tout and go to the world about? Or in a long run, does it become very exorbitant?
So from what I understand, I think it's a good project, sir. It is definitely a civil engineering marvel. So we have to look at the imperatives here. Our Telangana is a plateau region and the rivers are flowing much below the ground surface. And if we want to provide irrigation, water has to be lifted. There is no other way. And that is why lift irrigation projects are necessary in our state. And this particular project helps irrigate a large number of districts and which are earlier drought prone and also have seen the cases of farmer suicide. I think we have prioritized irrigation and the needs of the farmers over the cost. And so I think given how it has been done within a very short period of time, I would still say it's a good project.
Okay, nice talking to you, Uma.
Thank you, sir.
Very good, Uma. It's now almost 53 minutes since your interview began. We'll conclude it here and give you the feedback.
Yes, sir.
As I said in the beginning itself, the actual interview will now be beyond 25 minutes. So this is a lengthy interview primarily because we found you very interesting. There is nothing to note down right now. I'll tell you.
Okay.
I'll tell you what you should work on, etc.
Yes.
So you have to be conscious of the main fact, the time. Now, one after the other, we panel members will give our perception of how you have done in this mock personality test. I'll start with mine.
Yes.
When we speak, you may have some doubts or clarifications or questions to ask us. You hold them at the end of the last of the feedbacks. Again, I'll come to you and at that time, I'll give you a chance. Is there anything you want to ask? So you can ask all of them. Okay?
Yes.
First thing is you emerge as a very talented person. You're extremely good in communications. You're capable of translating your thoughts into words, and your rate of flow of words is more or less ideal. You're not talking too fast, nor are you talking too slow. Of course, as the interview went along, you felt a little more comfortable. So if you can achieve that degree of comfort at the beginning of itself, it's good. Otherwise, don't be tense. You will get whatever is due to you, and you have come this far. It is just a matter of a few marks here and there. I'm sure you will get into IAS. I have no doubt about it. But don't be tense. Be relaxed. Okay. Now, the areas where you need to work, I believe, is that this battle for water between Andhra Pradesh and Telangana would continue. Therefore, what you have to look into is you mentioned a sentence wherein you said the tribunal, meaning thereby the Krishna River Water Tribunal, has made some allocations to both Telangana as well as Andhra Pradesh, and each state wants to draw more than that. To my knowledge, the last time Krishna River Water Tribunal has made any allocation was during the combined state. There was nothing, no fresh allocation after 2014, to my knowledge, but the Dr. Gopal will clarify. He's an expert in irrigation. So you have to read now whether there was a tribunal after 2014. There is one Krishna River Management Board in which the government of India as well as the two representatives from Telangana and Andhra Pradesh are there. what they are trying to do is to distribute between Telangana state and Andhra Pradesh state the original allocation made to the combined state of Andhra Pradesh. That is being distributed, and there are interpretations because these important projects like Sri Salem and Nagarjuna Sagar were built during the combined state. So nobody really knows whether left canal should get more or right canal should get more, or whether the right side hydroelectric projects should generate more or left side should generate more. So that dispute continues till there is some judicial body which looks into it. Okay, so you need to study on your own because you have a lot of time, almost 2 months. So you please go deep into this. It is going to be a headache, even for those who are appearing for this UPSC interviews, because there may be a question on that. The second thing is, unfortunately, you are the daughter of a police officer and they think that you are ambassador of the police department of the whole world and you have to defend the police actions. This is some kind of an expectation from most of the people, including the UPSC board. So they'll provoke you. Therefore, you will have to be a little more well-informed. Your answers were good, extremely good. But nevertheless, for example, the UAPA, on that, there is a beautiful article today in the Sunday Hindu, FAQ, frequently asked questions about the UAPA and the bail conditions, etc. So it would be very useful to you about to read about this UAPA, how it was introduced way back in 1967. But after that, there were 5 amendments by the parliament. And in 2019, there was 1 more amendment. And somehow the bail became very difficult, especially after, now you note this down.
Yes.
There is a case called Zahur Ahmad Shah Watali. He's a Kashmiri. Zahur Ahmad Shah, S-H-A-H, Watali, W-A-T-A-L-I, versus NIA, National Investigating Agency, in which the Supreme Court of India, it's a bench consisting of Justice Khanwilkar and Ajay Rastogi, they gave a stupid judgment. The judgment in effect says that the moment an FIR, First Information Report, is registered under UAPA, till the actual trial lasts, there is no scope for the aggrieved party, the arrested person, to say that there is no evidence. Whether there is adequate evidence or not is going to be decided only during trial. And the trial may take 5 years, 6 years. So they have to be incarcerated. Till then, that is the interpretation of UAPA bail conditions by the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, that becomes binding on all the high courts and all lower courts also. The only court which could defy Supreme Court was the Delhi High Court recently.
Yes, sir.
They have given bail to those 3 students mostly. So they were released. But the government, naturally, Government of India went in appeal regarding this bail to Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, without asking them to be remanded back to the prison, they said, okay, this is a one-time exception, but it should not be quoted as a precedent. And they remarked, it's an obiter dictum, they remarked that how can the Delhi High Court, in a matter of bail, talk about the constitutional validity of UAPA. So actually that is unbecoming of the Supreme Court. The problem is with the Indian Supreme Court, as of today, in this case, Stan Swami's death, etc. Stan Swami was not even there in the beginning of the allegation. He is nowhere near there in the Bhima Koregaon case. Later, after 3 raids, they said, no, there is some material and he was included as one of the accused. Otherwise, he is not there from the beginning. And he never visited Bhima Koregaon either. So the medical bail that was given to Varavar Rao somehow was denied to him, primarily because of the Supreme Court directions, especially after they found fault with Delhi High Court in having given a 100-page order in a bail matter. They ridiculed it also. So the more you read about these things, you will be clearer. But nevertheless, don't say that you are of the opinion that bail should be denied, nor should you say that bail should be granted. You are an observer, you are a student. So what you have to say is there are some people who are leveling an allegation that merely because police have registered an FIR or some complaint has been made by somebody, for years and decades, can we deny bail? Because the general law in India is bail but not jail. That is the law. Bail is a matter of right.
Yes, sir.
So, as and when there is a trial and there is a conviction, then there will be a sentence. Bail cannot be denied, thereby converting the absence of bail itself as a sentence. Because what will happen if at the end of the trial he is found to be innocent or acquitted? So these are major questions. Unfortunately, the Indian state is very harsh as on today. So you will have to know more about it. But don't say as if because you are a police officer's daughter or because you like BJP or because something, this is the right thing. When it was introduced in 1967, perhaps what you said was right, because that was the beginning of the Naxalism in West Bengal, Naxalbari and all that. Subsequently, several amendments have been made, mostly in the context of Jammu and Kashmir, etc. But these are nothing to do with Jammu and Kashmir either. In what way Stan Swami has been anti-national is not been made very clear. So at this stage, should we deny to an 84-year-old person bail simply because Supreme Court said so? So this is an urgent case where the Supreme Court should revisit. But I and you can't direct it. So you have to say there are 2 points of view. There is an excellent article by former Chief Justice of Delhi High Court, A.P. Shah, a very, I would say, a very distinguished man himself. He was chairman of the Law Commission. He's not a literate fellow. So he also criticized this. So these, if you read in the next 60 days, I'm sure you will be doing excellently. Maybe you will become a topper. I have very little doubt about you are getting selected into the IAS. Now I'll hand you over to Dr. Gopal, and I request him to clarify on this, whether there was any river water tribunal which allocated the Krishna waters between the new state of Telangana and the residual state of Andhra Pradesh. Okay. Gopal Garu.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah, Ms. Uma, can you hear me, see me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Now, while I totally agree with the chairman about the positive qualities and the impression that you have created, I don't want to repeat, except that even I had a similar opinion about your kind of, in the initial stages, some timidity, some kind of a shyness, because you didn't settle down perhaps. But as the interview progressed, I think you had mustered all the courage and guts to face it very well. So because of this mock interview, the one takeaway should be that right from go, in the main interview, you should be able to not freak out, but then you should be able to very confidently respond, because you are, by and large, you have good awareness and the big picture of whatever is happening, therefore you don't have to be worried. Go ahead and bat well. Okay, that's one suggestion I want to give. And straight away, getting back to the interstate, water disputes. Well, water is a political subject, and as Marx said, the wars are going to be fought on water issues in future. He said long time back. So coming back to combined Andhra state, Krishna water is something which is overexploited, and the number of projects constructed by different riparian states, number is more than what they are supposed to be doing. Had the DPRs been prepared, detailed project reports. I had the Central Water Commission cleared, keeping in view the flows, considering the rainfall, the temporal rainfall, the spatial rainfall. If the projects keep on flooding, if there is more than average rainfall, there is no dispute anywhere, be it Godavari,
Yes,
be it Krishna.
Yes.
The problem comes when there is a shortage of rain, in either of these states. Particularly in the upper riparian states, if there is no rainfall, or if there is a deficit rainfall, the flows will get affected. And therefore, every state in the upper riparian region would like to draw as much as possible by violating the norms of minimum drawdown. There are certain minimum drawdown levels because they are called environmental storages, which has to be there. That quantity of water has to be there. Now, to make it short, in Andhra Pradesh state, we had for Krishna an allocation of 811 TMC. Bachawat Tribunal has given that. And if at all there were disputes as to whether Srisalem should generate first, or Pothireddy Padu should lower down its drawdown limits, or Nagarjuna Sagar should generate electricity and wastewater, or should generate electricity only when the Nagarjuna Sagar left and right canal Ayakat requires water. These are all intra-state problems, and local politicians, with or without the fist fights and fighting, they used to manage. Now that there are two different states, there is need for some kind of an arbitrator. And the States Reorganization Act has put in something called an apex council in order to take care. Because two states have been formed, there is no, as the chairman was pointing out, there is no distributed allocation legally as a breakup of 811 TMC between Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. In order to do this, in order to resolve these disputes, this apex council has been constituted under the chairmanship of that Union Jal Shakti Minister, where you have chief ministers of Andhra, Telangana, engineers, they're all there as members. This Jal Shakti Minister, as the chairman of this apex council, they have met a couple of times, but the interstate allocation of water has not been firmed up. But as a gentleman's agreement between Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, the Telangana chief minister conceded, saying that, okay, we take 299 TMC and you take the balance 512 TMC. It's an informal kind of a working arrangement, which is not legally binding. He agreed to it.
Okay.
He agreed to it. But again, even to draw 299 or 512 is the question of what is the level of water in the reservoirs. Now, somebody may say, I will draw 299 first. Telangana may say that Jurala, in the upper catchment, we will draw first. Or Srisalem would say, we will draw for Pothireddy Padu first. So it's a question of regulating day to day. And the management boards are supposed to be operating and, kind of steer the disputes on a day-to-day basis and indicate at what level who should draw for how many days and so on and so forth. Now, these boards have so far not decided on the interstate allocation. At the best, they have asked for the detailed project reports. In the meantime, off the record, the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana met, in Big Brother's house in Hyderabad. And then Big Brother said, no, we are brothers and, you go and take whatever you want. We'll manage with Godavari water. He was very hospitable to the Andhra brother for some reasons. He said, go ahead, we don't do anything. Now, Andhra Chief Minister is also wise enough. So he started, saying that I will draw within my allocation first from Someshwara, so Somashila. What is that? That's a lift irrigation scheme, which is now the controversial lift irrigation scheme. Rayalaseema scheme. Then, not realizing that this would create problems in Telangana, now CM KCR also started saying, okay, now we will withdraw. There is a court case against the total allocation. They said we will withdraw the case from Supreme Court. Now let tribunal decide legally the interstate allocation of water. While that is happening, Andhra started Rayalaseema, Sangameshwaram lift irrigation canal. Telangana started saying that we'll have some anicut, some other schemes, some 5 schemes, DPRs were to be prepared. These are all political postures that these chief ministers have put up. And ultimately about that lift irrigation, Rayalaseema lift irrigation, there is a NGT case saying that we should not go ahead, and there is some contempt threat against Chief Secretary. The point is, officially, there is no interstate allocation of water, and which has to be done now by the SEPEX Council, making use of these boards. And in the meantime, the gentleman agreement is also not going to work because of the counter postures these two states and politicians have taken. And in whatever contest, sometimes Hyderabad elections, CM supports say the Andhra people. In some other domestic Mafassil elections, local politicians will question Andhra government. So these are all politics, the water politics. So there is no firm allocation. We have to work within that. Okay.
Yes.
And you may further go through the developments. This is the base. You can replay this the CD or whatever material that they give on this, and then you reflect on it and go through day-to-day developments as to what is happening. But you have to, as a civil engineer, you have to keep yourself abreast of this water dispute because you are from Telangana. And see the units of measurement, again, as a civil engineer, you may say some trillion cubic feet, all right, technically, but 1,000 billion is easy to say, rather than while I was trying to calculate how many trillion, 1,000 million comes to 0.001 trillion, cubic feet. So TMCFT or TM cubic meters, 1,000 million cubic meters is standard measurement.
1,000 million is 1 billion. 1,000 billion is 1 trillion.
Yes,
So
yes. So it's
1 followed by 12 zeros is trillion.
yeah.
Whereas 1 followed by 6 zeros is a million.
Yeah. 1 followed by 4 zeros is million trillion. See, 0.0001 million is 1 trillion. 0.001 trillion is equal to 1 million. All right.
1 lakh crores.
1 lakh
1
crores.
trillion is equal to 1 lakh
crores. Crores again. So therefore, TMC, better to remember 1,000 million. Easy to remember.
Yes, sir.
And QC
It is not trillion. It is not trillion. It is 1,000 million.
1,000 million cubic feet.
That is exactly billion. 1 billion.
Yeah. So that is the calculation. And the QSEX, as you said, is the flow of water. Then coming to some factual information, you should try and see what is the hidden agenda of the interviewer when he asks questions. Since you studied in IIT, the natural question will be how many types of institutes of technology are there. While ICRISAT technically is an agricultural technology institute, but ICRISAT is International Crop Research Institute for
Semi-arid tropics.
Like Telangana, you said is semi-arid. Exactly. Therefore, it was set up in Telangana. So that is ICRISAT. Otherwise, now you recollected NIT, BIT, JNTU, Jawaharlal. Then RGUKT is something which is peculiar to the former Andhra Pradesh and now Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Rajiv Gandhi University for Knowledge Technologies, where government students from government high school, Jilla Parishad high schools, based on some calculations, merit in each district, Basar, IIIT. It's also called IIIT, but it's RGUKT. Then Idupulapaya, Nujuveed, there's some more, I think, Vijayanagaram and some like that. This is state specific. IIIT, of course, This much, if you know, that's good enough. Then agricultural income tax, I asked that question because agricultural income tax, the income is not taxable, but for the purpose of arriving at the slab, suppose your mother has a non-agricultural salary income of say 5 lakhs and agricultural income of 10 lakhs. All right. 10 lakhs is not taxable, but the slab at 15 lakhs, 5 plus 10, the applicable slab for 15 lakhs is used for taxing the 5 lakhs.
The 5 lakhs.
That is agriculture.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Then the conclusive title, you went on the right track. Now, for the purpose of establishing conclusive title, there is need for having a survey and digitize records, make it foolproof, use blockchain technology. Ultimately, if I dispute, after government gives you conclusive title, the government has to compensate you.
Yes, sir.
That's the other side. So the advantage of conclusive title is government takes responsibility, like in some other countries, to establish your title and fight for you in the court of law should there be litigation. That is conclusive title. All right.
Yes.
Then about the PPP, the high-techs, for instance, Hyderabad Industrial Technology and Environmental Consult, Engineering Consult, high-tech, IITC. For now, the first foremost, which Chandrababu Naidu started as a public-private partnership project. There are many other toll roads.
Airport,
Our own
Hyderabad Airport.
Hyderabad
Yes.
Airport.
Shamshabad.
Yeah. So these are all the PPP projects. I think that's what I wanted to say. Otherwise, you are well aware. And funding metro, you said central state government. State government gave the support of land. The land is given by the state, whatever is required for constructing the track and also some marketing facilities, real estate, etc. And Government of India gave something called viability gap funding. At the time of bidding, the bid is only to indicate you have to run this for 30 years or 35 years. Tell me how much subsidy upfront, the capital subsidy you want, viability gap funding. Whoever quotes the lowest.
Yes.
And the L&T, you forgot the name. The technicality is that you must say L&T. But then ownership is with the government. After say 30 years or 35 years or after the extended period, the asset would come back to the lap of the state government. The ownership is not with L&T. They have a concession agreement, and they invested some 14,000, 15,000 crores, viability gap funding of some 2,000 odd crores, state government giving land, they are running it. But point to remember is urban rapid transport systems nowhere are profitable. Always there is a problem. Just keep it at the back of your mind. Otherwise, your awareness levels are good, your confidence is good, but right from word go, you be a little bit more aggressive. Okay, all right. Don't have to be shy. Go ahead and you'll do very well. All the best.
Thank you, sir.
I find that your general awareness levels are fairly good. Except that here and there you and elaborate feedback has already been given. I find that as far as perhaps
Vivek sir, it's very slow, sir.
Low. గట్టిగా మాట్లాడ.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I'll just keep the am I audible, Uma, now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Your general awareness are quite okay. Maybe I think you need to do a little bit of more study on the police reforms. Apart from Prakash Singh, which you said, there is also a Malimat committee and a couple of others. And the reason why as experts write about the custodial deaths and reasons for it and all that, police are really stressed out a lot. And then the major recommendation is that the law and order investigation and these things must be separated. Okay. And another major reform is, for neutrality's sake, for objectivity's sake and all that, the police as a setup should be independent of day-to-day executive control. So that is one major reform, of course, which is I really do not know when it will happen, but given our country and our scenarios, I really don't think it will ever see the light of the day. But then in the interim, we can also, as experts write and as we read quite a lot of these articles by the activists and all that, the basic problem is that, the police is stressed out. They don't have, this facility to upgrade their investigation techniques, interrogation techniques. Okay, that's why they resort to a lot of, physical force to extract confessions. Okay, so this is one of the major reasons. Okay, so maybe you a little bit check up on those, history of police reforms.
Yes, sir.
Right, and a bit of geography here and there. I think it's fairly. I mean, you are well informed. Then my questions were primarily about your attitudes and your orientation, not so much about the factual aspect. The takeaway from Japan, you somehow seem to think that mere infusion of technology into bureaucracy would bring about a lot of change. While I agree that yes, we have to leverage technology to improve service delivery. That's not the only thing that will transform bureaucracy to make it more citizen friendly. Primarily, it is the attitudinal aspects. Okay. Apart from that, I would have been happier had you just hinted at the Karma Yogi concept of recent government initiative. Okay. Periodic upgradation of skills, knowledge, training, attitudinal training, and all that. Okay, that would have made your answer a little more comprehensive rather than merely infusion of technology. Because you see, after all, it is not the machine that is important. It is the man behind the machine that is important.
Yes.
It is well recognized. that it is the man behind the machine which is more important. Okay, right. But otherwise, I don't have many things to supplement by way of your adding to your knowledge base. Perhaps you need to be a little more creative in your thinking, okay, more imaginative. And here and there, of course, memory did not serve you right, and you were a little slow to pick up, but then you came back, particularly when I asked about women legislations and all that. The right word is co-parcenary, and I would advise you to read more about women and women-related issues, developments, feminism. Okay,
Yes, sir.
the recent debate about women, getting paid for work at home,
Yes, sir.
right? There are a couple, some views and counter views are already there. And what are the implications if women, get paid for kind of work they do at home? What are the implications? Okay. So being a woman, I think some questions about feminism, women, these things are inevitable. Okay. Status of women in society, then workplace, harassments, internal complaints committees. Okay. Then Me Too movement. Then that Priya Ramani's case.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, are you aware what is Priya Ramani's case? Akbar versus Priya Ramani's case. M.J. Akbar is that journalist.
Yes, sir. It's the sexual harassment case with the former minister.
Yeah. Okay. So I think something on these lines, if you keep yourself updated, I'm sure you will definitely emerge as a winner. You are a pleasant person, good to listen to, and then you have quite moderate views, middle of the road. Maybe on some other issues, probably other members will give you their feedback, but to the extent I interacted with you, you come across as a very balanced person. I think if you keep yourself updated, I see a bright, prospect for you to get selected. All the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Uma, I agree with the chairman on the feedback given to you. Actually, what we observed is that you got good attitude, but you are carried away a bit by the outer shell, not the inner soul of the real administration. So I started my conversation with you with the population. So actually, we are more interested in the people's development. So Japan is known for that. So when I saw that you visited Japan, normally myself and Vivek sir, we were both excited to ask you questions. So you asked on Kaizen, and you of course gave the good answer for that. But your emphasis more is on technology. So you said the development, the reason for the development of Japan, mostly said about the technological development and the imperialism. So imperialism is nothing to do with the development of Japan. So that's a issue you have to think very carefully, because the Japanese, their intention is not aggrandizement or looting. Maybe here and there some aberrations are there, but basically they want to develop by themselves. Okay, so they gave a lot of importance to the HRD, human resource development. The technological development is a byproduct, but they want to give a lot of importance to the human resource development. So without the natural resources, they got developed because of the human resource development. They gave a lot of importance. And from that point of view, Kaizen is the most important philosophy what they have followed. So that's the link between these two. Coming to in the Second World War, as I told you, it was almost smashed to the ground, but it came, it bounced back because of the nature of the Japanese. Japanese cannot suppress them, okay? But Japanese were helped by one important personality called Edward Deming. Edward Deming in 1945, he came to Japan, and he almost inspired the Japanese that the quality costs less. So that's the small philosophy. What he said is that every product should be given quality. So that is the quality is very, very crucial aspect. I think you all heard about the quality circles that the contribution made from the Japanese. So he gave importance to the quality circles came into existence. And that's one of the reasons why within a short span of 4 years, Japan bounced back and again regained its own glory. They gave importance to the TQP, that's called the total quality people, whereas the Americans, they gave importance to total quality management. So there are two styles of management. And here also Japanese gave a lot of importance to the people's development. So there is a lot of relevance for Japan and India because we also got a lot of people. And if you take even our Telangana, what we want is people's development is more important rather than a small section of people, microscopic people, people's development. So there we can learn a lot of lessons from Japan. That's the one important area I think you may pay attention to. Yeah. The other aspect is about the culture of the land is very, very important. Bonalu is a very, very important aspect because in Telangana region, you can see how our forefathers gave importance to mother, that's called matrilineal society. Bonalu is nothing but paying tributes to the mother with the food. So Mahankali, Vargera, all are all mother goddesses. And this is a beautiful culture we have been preserving in Telangana region. So read about the festivals of Telangana. So Sammaka Saraka, that is also on the women issues. So that's the culture of the land is very crucial. And as a person from Telangana, especially from Nalgonda district, you are supposed to learn about your local cultures. Okay. The other aspect is about the water projects. In fact, Telangana, with these two projects, in fact, the Mission Kakatiya and Bhagirath, I think these are the wonderful projects which are very much important because we have been reviving the old systems of the water harnessing. Bigger projects, you see, bigger projects like Kaleshwaram, there are many controversies are there. But the smaller things like water to the, every house and your tanks and the canals have to be revived. That's a beautiful thing which is required. I think that will sustain for a longer period. And these are the beautiful projects which the Telangana government has taken up. And coming to the Adivasi conflict, it is very, very important because you are a student of geography and you must also, you are from Telangana and this dispute is from Telangana region. Okay, here the Adivasis and Adivasis are indigenous people, whereas the Lambadis are people who came from outside. In some states, they are called BCs. Okay, so they are the backward classes. They are not from this place, but they got into the reservation in 1976. But there are some incidents. How this got accelerated or maybe, we can say aggravated because of certain incidents took place in that particular district. Please go through. There is a beautiful account because of the conflict between these two. And this is to be addressed because you see, as an administrator, you have to address this because this got aggravated because of one administrator. So from that point of view, you have to take care of this. Then women reservation aspect, you see, wherever you take any problem, this is by the stakeholders has to take the responsibility. See, the women population is more, so almost equal to the men. But here, as you rightly said, the women are to be empowered at higher levels. But there, though we got many women the legislators or maybe at the MP level, but the voice from them is very, very scant. So what we want is they have to make a lot of noise. That's in fact, in a democracy, noise is very, very important. So that is what is required for getting any rights to be regained. Coming to the Koregaon issue, and of course, Stan Swami, our chairman has already explained to you, that's a very, very important issue, current issue. You take care of those things. Uma, if you can take care of all these small issues, I think you can present a beautiful argument before the board and you can win the hearts of the board and you can get very good marks. Wish you all the best.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Ms. Uma HARATHI, I think you are very soft-spoken and responses are quite measured tone. And few aspects perhaps you should be aware. I would only supplement. We have the uniqueness is it's the first incubator for women in the country. So, and T-Hub, anyway, you know, A-Leap and Kobe again, you know, they also promote entrepreneurship among women and Confederation of Women Entrepreneurs and so on. And though there are no big women entrepreneurs who made it, you know, the numbers are increasing within the state, you know, like among startups, Map My Genome is one example where, you know, it is the All India, you know, presence. Similarly, you know, your answers on Kaleshwaram reasonably okay, although I think the cost factor and then the huge effort more looks like aimed at Guinness books than real, you know, purpose, as many critics say. It's the case is still out. We do not know in 10 years what will be. As far as Central Vista project is concerned, I think I request you to look at in a long-term different way, because, you know, you are talking about aging buildings, you are talking about environment, you are talking about replenishment of trees and all this. So I think whether you should be rushing into it for, you know, savings in the short term, or look at it long term and find alternatives. You can look at alternate views given by people. You need not, give your own views unless asked for. So these are some issues I think you take care. And as far as Nalgonda incident, perhaps I think you brush up, because it's a rare thing in India, you know, honor killing, especially in the south. North India, Haryana and all, there are cases, but south especially, you know, very close to your own district and home, perhaps, this incident shook everybody. Otherwise, you are good material and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Uma, before I give you an opportunity to seek clarifications, the correct expansion of the abbreviation TMC is 1,000 million cubic feet, not meters. TMC is 1,000 million cubic feet. It is used to measure the flow of water per second.
Storage.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It can be also called 1,000
CFT.
million cubic meters also. See, sir, just I wanted to clarify.
Please.
Storage can be measured easily as CFT, that is 1,000 million cubic feet or 1,000 million cubic meters. But not 0.001 trillion. That's what I was trying to say. Of course, then, sir, we will say about cusecs.
Cusecs is the flow, rate of flow, cubic feet per second. So that is these are all the old irrigation terminology. I don't know whether they are switched over to the meters or not.
No,
so,
not yet.
Not yet. Anyway, they got used to it. Like even today, when we ask height, what is your height? You will say 5 foot 6 inches. You won't say so many centimeters.
Yeah.
So it's an old habit. Okay, now that you have heard a detailed feedback, is there anything you want to ask us?
Yes, sir. So most of the projects, like big projects such as Kaleshwaram, Polavaram, or Central Vista, they have positive aspects as well as a lot of criticism going on it. So when the question is at point blank, if it's justified, so how should I approach it?
Even then, you have to present both sides, because there is no absolute truth. It depends on from which side you are looking at it, whether it is Central Vista or Kaleshwaram. In fact, Kaleshwaram, it requires for regular and continuous lifting of water from the various reservoirs to the various, as you said, this is a Deccan Plateau, is in a higher ground. Difference between the Godavari flow level and most of these irrigated lands is 1,700 feet. So you have to lift it in several stages. The power required is said to be around 9,000 megawatts of electricity. The total production of electricity in present day Telangana is around that. So that requires so much of additional installation of power, and every unit of power is becoming costlier and costlier. By the time you get from that Kaleshwaram to a place like Hyderabad, water, a liter would cost about 15 rupees. Whether you should give away for flood irrigation to farmers free of cost, something which is as costly, something like, you are cultivating 100 acres of land with Kinley water. Each bottle is 15 rupees. So these are only perspectives. None of us know. What I'm trying to say is, it is your job as an administrator to present both sides. Generally, once the questions are asked to examine your attitude, mindset, etc. To my knowledge, once you present both sides, they will simply go to some other question. But if they still insist, what is your personal opinion? You say whatever is your personal opinion. What is there? At the end of the day, you are a human being. So you will have your own subjective views. But as a future administrator, you have to know both sides.
Yes.
So in every situation, especially if it is controversial, you have to present both views.
Yes.
Anything else you want to ask?
Sir, in the question of who benefited more from the bifurcation?
That's something we did not ask. You have to naturally say that Telangana benefited.
Yes, sir.
It is a fact. See, political power was all the while with the Andhra politicians, except for a very short spell, twice Mari Channa Reddy. He was the chief minister. For a very brief period, Anjaya was the chief minister. Otherwise, it was always Andhra politicians. Andhra includes Rayalaseema. P.V. Narasimha, he was compelled to quit. There was a big agitation. A separate Andhra agitation is targeted against P.V. Narasimha. So, politically, Telangana has been able to assert itself. Otherwise, also, it's a gainer. To my knowledge, even finances-wise,
Yes, sir.
everything, it is Telangana which has benefited. I have no doubt about it. Anything else?
No, sir. That's it.
If you are through, then all the very best. God bless you. Hope to see your name in the list of successful candidates.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye
Thank you,
then.
sir.
Bye-bye.